You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Radio Show, only on Financial News and Talk. Now live in studio, your host, local and national real estate expert and consumer advocate, Ron Siegel.
And hello again. Welcome to Ron Siegel Radio. This is the show with no real boundaries as we discuss current events, financial markets, politics, sports, even poking fun at the rest of the media. This is the show that connects the dots of confusion delivered by conflicting media reports. We connect the dots so you know the actions you can take, how your family or business can benefit from current events. Most of all, thank you for joining me. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day. We have a very focused show. We only chat about items that affect the roof over your head, your bank account, and anything I feel would benefit you. But before we get into our intriguing content today, please join me in welcoming our featured guest and repeat offender.
I'm cuckoo and you're cuckoo, so let's take a chance to do a new dance. Well, I'm cuckoo and you're cuckoo, sing la 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 la.
Half the cuckoo duo is with us. Jim Norton, Realty Pro 100, is in the house. Welcome.
Yeah, thank you. I don't know. I'm feeling a little lonely without my partner, you know.
I got a bad feeling about this.
Yeah, I got a bad feeling about this. Hey, let me remind you, if you ever have any home or finance related questions, I am the consumer advocate looking out for you. And you can reach out to me directly, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or ronsiegelradio.com. Just remember, that's the number you call anytime for assistance. When you call that number, it comes directly to me first. There are operators standing by.
Quiet, numbskulls. I'm broadcasting.
While I do have a great team when it comes to developing a financing plan, a plan to save you money, I personally work with you. Even if you don't have any needs today, save this number in your phone for future reference. 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. And, of course, we celebrate every day on Ron Siegel Radio. National School Nurse Day, Receptionist Day, Lipid Day. I don't have the heart for that one. National Washington Day. Third Shift Workers Day. Clean Up Your Room Day. I wonder if I can tell that to my son. But having beaten anorexia and being a food connoisseur, today is National Shrimp Day. Now, I will tell you, I do have limits here. So I'm not a big fan of the shrimp where you have to peel them. Right? I go to work every day so I can buy the darn things. I don't want to have to work a second time to get into them. So, none of that, the shrimp that you have to peel. Just
Can you list the Bubba Gump dishes? Remember in the movie? There's sauteed.
what?
Don't you remember in
Bubba Gump? Was that a movie?
in Forrest Gump? Remember?
I don't remember that. It was before my time.
He's telling them all the ways to fix shrimp, and it's like it goes on for like 10 minutes or something.
I do enjoy Bubba Gumps. That's
Yeah.
of course, again,
I love Cajun shrimp. That I'll eat.
I'll eat Cajun shrimp, and I'll eat boiled shrimp, and I'll eat shrimp cocktail.
Barbecue shrimp at Ruth Chris.
Barbecue shrimp.
That one is
I'm
good.
an equal opportunity shrimp
You're
eater
equal
as
opportunity.
long as it's peeled.
We're going to your house for a shrimp cookout.
There we go.
Shrimp boil.
Shrimp boil.
There we go.
Yeah, well, there's those restaurants in Westminster, Garden Grove, where they take the shrimp or whatever it is, and they just pour it right on the table. Have you ever gone to those?
Yeah.
Those are pretty good, except you got to peel this stuff. If it
You got to peel.
if it
them. I
came
agree.
peeled, I'd be.
Well, that's like going. Have you ever been back east and done the crab, where they put the newspaper down, and they throw the crab out on the table,
no.
and you got to crack the crab open by the time you're.
Yeah, that's too much work.
It is a lot.
I'm going to a restaurant because I want to eat, not because I want to go fishing or any. And I don't even fish. Hey, let's take a look and see what the markets are doing today. The Dow Jones Industrial Average is down 128 points. The S&P 500 is up 2.95. NASDAQ is up 73.61. Oil's down 85 cents a barrel. And the 10-year Treasury is down almost 7 basis points to 3.452. All driven by Consumer Price Index, showing U.S. consumer inflation in April was below 5%, a first since early 2021. I watched a little bit yesterday, as much as I could handle. We had our first-time homebuyer seminar last night, so I couldn't get depressed too much before going and sharing that information with a bunch of good folks. But it's amazing to me, why do we have a president? Well, we can stop right there. And why do we have a Congress Now, if you listen to the president after the meeting with the leaders of the Congress, he basically said, we did nothing, and the staffers are going to talk every day. Why can't we just eliminate one step here and get rid of the president and get rid of Congress and just use the staffers? If they're the ones that are doing everything, it just baffles me how these people can get absolutely nothing done. And, it's typical of the president. Well, I guess he's got something on his schedule today. He's going for a fundraiser. Generally, his official schedule has nothing on it. But the issue here is, he's talking about the debt ceiling that's coming up and the fact that the government won't be able to pay its bills because they don't have any they can't increase their own credit limit. Well, they could. And the president says, well, the Congress needs to do something. But he doesn't say that the House of Representatives already did something. They already passed a bill. What has the Senate done with it? Nothing. They've done exactly what they normally do. Yeah, that's about it. Crickets. So House of Representatives passes the bill. They've got their debt ceiling bill to increase the debt ceiling. Oh, yeah, they might want to stop spending quite as much money. And maybe the money that was authorized and hasn't been spent, maybe they realize that they don't need to spend that money. But not the president. He wants to just keep on spending and telling people that he cut the deficit. I always love when he says that. And the idiots in the media, these guys are just complete a bunch of morons, right? So they don't push back. I cut the deficit by $1.4 trillion. No, Mr. President, you didn't. That was spending that expired. You did absolutely nothing, the same as always. So it's not like you cut the deficit. The authorizations expired for $1.4 trillion while you were out putting more spending on there. That's why we've got the inflation problem that we have. Inflation. It is too much money chasing too few goods. What's the president's solution? Create more money. Does that sound logical to anybody? It just baffles me that nobody pushes back.
It is what it is.
Yeah, nobody pushes back on these things. And all that happens is, well, let's call a spade once again. If you're eating a lot of, if you say you're on keto diet, or what's the doctor that died that had that was always all the proteins and he fell down? What's his name?
Was it Sears?
No.
Atkins?
That's the one. Right? So he dies because he falls down outside of his house in New York and hits his head and dies. If you're on the Atkins diet or the keto diet, you're eating a lot of proteins. Now, beef, chicken, a lot of these fish, a lot of these items, the inflation rate has come down dramatically. If you're on a more fixed income or a tighter budget, what do you eat mostly? A lot of pastas, a lot of grains, cereals. And I'm not trying to be snooty about this in any way. I'm just calling a fact a fact. I'm saying it is what it is.
It is what it is.
Grains are still up double digit. Pasta up double digit, the inflation. So all of this inflation and all this spending that the president keeps putting forth and the past Congress was approving, well, who's that hurting? It's hurting the working class individuals, the people that the president once upon a time and still tries to say this is who he's looking out for. Unbelievable. But we're going to continue our conversation on this because somebody has to bring light to it. You're listening to Ron Siegel Radio, discussing your real estate current events and the financial markets. When we come back, we're going to chat with Jim Norton, the impact of inflation on mortgage rates. We'll chat about it. Visit Anaheim has their events for us for the week. We're going to give away a trip. We'll have Jim Norton tell us where we're going when we come back. And we might get to a guide. No, you're not going to tell me where to go. I'm talking about listeners, Norton. I'm talking about listeners. So.
I thought you were giving me a trip.
Yeah, I'll trip you.
I was
That's a whole different story. We'll trip you without a problem.
Trip me out of here.
Yeah. You can reach me anytime off air number 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990 or on SiegelRadio.com, Facebook.com/Ron Ron Siegel Radio. And if you miss any part of our broadcast, Ron Siegel 1 on YouTube. Ron Siegel, the number 1 on YouTube. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
Ron Siegel Radio. Your home and mortgage connection.
79% of all credit reports have errors that should be corrected through factual disputing. You could be saving thousands every year if your report was accurate. CreditSanitizer.com provides a free credit report audit when you furnish a specific $1 credit report. You can use this information to request corrections to your report and potentially save thousands of dollars. Get your free credit audit at CreditSanitizer.com. That's CreditSanitizer.com for a free credit report audit. CreditSanitizer.com.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio or anytime at 800-306-1990. 800-306-1990. The Mortgage Minute today being brought to you by our friends at Geneva Financial. When you're ready for that next home loan, Geneva's got the programs and the products. You just need to make the call, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. Let's take a look every day at this time. OBMMI, they provide the most comprehensive, accurate, and timely interactive analysis of pricing ever conducted in the mortgage industry, calculated from actual locked rates with consumers across 42% of all mortgage transactions nationwide. Almost a clean sweep. If you're looking at the chart on any of our social channels, RonSiegelRadio.tv or at ABC News and Talk AM 1490 video feed, you're seeing what rates locked at yesterday. We don't have APRs. We don't know points paid or received to get these rates. 30-year conforming, 6.453. That was up. 30-year jumbo, 6.623. That was up. 30-year FHA, 6.447. That was up. USDA was the only one down a little bit at 6.391. And yes, of course, the best loan on the market, the VA loan, 30 years, 6.177. That one was up. Now we need to look and see what's going on. That's yesterday's news. What's today's news? Well, the 10-year Treasury is down 8 basis points to 3.446. S&P 500 is up 8.96. And mortgage-backed securities, those are up 23 basis points. That means interest rates are down a little bit for today. So we're watching all of those. I told you in January that we would see some benefits to the CPI numbers. Well, they came out this morning. We got April's numbers, and we're showing the report showed that overall inflation increased by 0.37, which was a little beneath estimates. Year-over-year inflation declined from 5% to 4.9, which was lower than the 5% expected. Inflation has declined sharply from the 9.1% peak and continues to make progress every month since that peak. Main focus is the core rate, which takes out food and energy, and it increased by 0.41%. Again, in line with expectations. Year-over-year core CPI decreased from 5.6 to 5.5. That's even after the government manipulated the numbers over the weekend. The BLS number for last year was modified this past weekend. Think about that. Last year's number modified this past weekend. Unbelievable. Shelter costs rose by 0.4%, clearly decelerating year over year. Shelter costs rose by 8.1%, which was less than the 8.2% in the previous report. Rents rose 0.6% last month, remained up 8.8% year over year. Clearly, this hasn't caught up. Owner's equivalent rent, which is a dumb number because do owners really know what their rent would be? What is owner's equivalent rent? You own your own house, whether you do or not. Let's say hypothetically, you own your own house, and you're an engineer at Boeing or wherever, and some character calls you and says, "What would your house rent for?" Are you an expert in the field of knowing what your house would rent for? Do you have any idea what the median rent is in Orange County, California? Any idea? I'll wait. $5,250. Most people don't know that's what the median rent is in Orange County, California. Yet they're going to ask, and they're using that as part of this report. Just amazing. Now, what was the big issue for this report? And it will not continue, I promise. The big issue in this report, I think I've got where is it? This is just baffles me what the biggest issue of the report was. And I'm not going to, oh, there it is. Anybody want to guess what the biggest issue of this report, and it kind of really skewed the numbers a bit. How about used car sales? 4.4% up month over month. 4.4. Well, when you replace what it was last year at this time, that's going to have a big impact. They're down 6.6 year over year, but 4.4 up, and that's 3.25% weighting on the CPI, pushed the reading up almost 0.1%, a little over 0.1% just on that itself. So think about that. Without that, it would have been 0.27 month over month, which is about half of where it came in at. Just throwing those numbers out there for you. That's the Mortgage Minute, brought to you by our friends at Geneva Financial. When you're ready for that next home loan, Geneva's got the programs and the products. You just need to make the call, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. Jim Norton is with us, Realty Pro 100. He's probably one of the only people that I know that was here when they first started doing CPI, so we're going to get the information from him. Not on the radio show. I wasn't around then. He was.
I got my first one from Alexander Hamilton.
Yeah. Well, your comrade here, he actually was helping Abraham Lincoln recently. So
he was. We both.
He goes back to that date
at the time. Yeah.
And it's really fun because he's not here, so we can harass him.
Oh, we can.
So you were probably in your third or fourth decade of real estate back in the last time when we saw inflation like this in the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
Was that your third decade of real estate?
No. Actually, 80s were my pretty much my first.
Your first.
Yeah, I was like some of these. I came out of college and with hopes, dreams, and everything in your eyes, and then right into a recession. And then,
wasn't that special?
Yeah, then
that's kind of where we are right now.
Right into another recession, and now not every recession has affected real estate either, though. 2001, the tech bubble burst. Real estate was doing great.
Okay,
that didn't overflow. Generally, real estate and mortgages are tied more strongly. So, like in
they actually go in opposite directions, though. Usually,
well, no. What
real
I'm
estate
saying
up
is,
and mortgage rates down.
Is cause and effect.
Oh, okay.
Let's go the other way. Not.
Oh.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying, but for cause and effect, I mean, when the S&L crisis hit, that
was in the 80s, right?
Yeah, real estate was riding high, and then the S&Ls collapsed. And for everybody that doesn't understand this, there used to be banks and there used to be savings and loans. I think they've somewhat. Would it be reasonable to say they've replaced it with something like Rocket Mortgage, private lending to some degree?
Yeah, a little bit, but those maybe SoFi would be more likely. Rocket Mortgage because they're strictly into the mortgage side, but the S&Ls, they did some bonds, they did some business. I think the S&L really is morphed more into what I would consider the community banks.
Possibly,
yeah, they're crashing right now too. Sorry,
possibly rolled into the community banks. Yeah, which is I'm not sure that the community bank. Some people are skeptical that that's deeper than it is. I don't know if it's as deep as it is. You look at SVP and what was the last one?
First
Republic. There was so many bad business decisions going on that there wasn't much. But anyways,
the biggest problem with that, and this is not being reported unless you are a listener to Ron Siegel Radio, is that the amount of assets that those three banks had, or four banks that have gone under had, is double the amount of assets that 511 banks had that collapsed during the mortgage meltdown in 2010.
True, but they also had. Did SVP have Apple? I mean, who were their clients? I mean, you look at the client list, and SVP being in Silicon Valley, they had more cash than, because I mean, Apple's sitting on what? They still have a 700-800 billion offshore.
Well, the issue with Apple, though, Apple had $100 million on deposit with them.
Right.
But the issue was they don't keep it in cash. Right. So what they did is they put that money into mortgage-backed securities or something along those lines.
Well, they went into bonds.
And the mortgage bonds.
Yeah, the mortgage bonds.
Mortgage bonds.
Okay.
And they went into treasuries. And remember, I tell you all the time, when the interest rate goes up, or what they call the yield goes up, the value of the bond goes down because the bond has a fixed rate of interest. So if you're in a bond that has a 2% coupon or a 2.5% coupon, and the market is, say, 6% or 5.5% where we're at right now, let me look at what coupon we're working mostly off of. I should be able to find it here pretty quick. But say we're working off of a 5% coupon or a 5.5% coupon. Well, if the coupon has gone up that much, the value of the bond has dropped dramatically. So when somebody says, I want to pull my money out, Apple says, I want to pull $100 million out. Well, the bank has to cash in $200 million worth of bonds to get that money back. Yeah. Right now, the mortgage-backed securities, we run a lot of different bonds, but for the most part, we're working off a 5.5% coupon on the bonds. Yeah. So if they're holding a bunch of 2s and 2.5s, they don't have to call that a loss because of Dodd-Frank. They don't have to market to market. Mike, can you imagine that, Jim? I mean, you've been a real estate developer, right? And if you have a piece of land and you build on it and you put all your money into it and it's worth, $500,000 and the market tanks as it did in 2009 and now it's worth $400,000, but you say, well, I'm just going to hold it until the market goes back up.
There were a lot of people that thought they could do that.
Right?
Yeah.
Couldn't get away with it.
Until the bank called them and said, we need
our money back.
We need our payments.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's the same thing that's happened right now with the community banks is people are calling and saying, I want to take my money out because what was the bank paying?
Right. But I don't think my point is I don't think every regional bank had their business strategy. I mean, these guys were.
There's only 186 of them on the banana peel right now.
Oh, there? Is
yeah.
That what you're saying?
There's 6 more. When you look at the ETF for community banks, that's actually gone down 40% in the last couple of weeks. We're going to continue our conversation with Jim Norton when we come back. You're listening to Ron Siegel Radio, discussing your real estate current events and the financial markets. We're going to also give away a trip. I don't know. Here's 7 choices. We'll let Jim decide when we do this in our D block. We're going to give away Las Vegas, Hawaii, Nashville, Palm Springs, San Diego, Cabo, or Cancun. Jim's going to tell us, but not now. We're going to also chat about, let's see, what else do we have on the docket? The impact of inflation on mortgage rates, and visit Anaheim. They've got our events for next week. So we're going to listen to that and talk about that as well. Reach me anytime. Off air number 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or RonSiegelRadio.com, Facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio. And if you miss any part of our broadcast, Ron Siegel 1 on YouTube, Ron Siegel, the numeral 1 on YouTube. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
Ron Siegel Radio, your home and mortgage connection.
Is your budget getting blown up with high prices of gas and increased costs for other household needs? This is Ron Siegel, host of the daily home and finance radio program. Did you know if you have a low interest rate mortgage along with auto debt, credit card debt, or student loans, your family could potentially save $500 or more per month by restructuring these debts? If you'd like a free Borrow Smart analysis with our team, let's book an appointment to see how we might be able to relieve some stress. Schedule your appointment at rsrbsa.com. That's rsrbsa.com for your free Borrow Smart analysis. rsrbsa.com.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio or anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. The real-time real estate segment today being brought to you by rsrmoney.com. Great tool if you want to monitor your credit, and you should. If you want to monitor your assets, and you should. If you want to monitor your budget, and you should. If you want to monitor your real estate, and you should. If you're thinking about buying a house, 97% of the homes in the United States are right there, rsrmoney.com. Impact of inflation on mortgage rates. If you're reading headlines about inflation on our mortgage rates, you may see something about the recent decision from the Federal Reserve. But what does it mean for you? Housing market and your plans to buy a home? Here's what you need to know. Inflation in the housing market. While the Fed's working hard to lower inflation, the latest data shows that while the number has improved some, the inflation rate is still higher than the target 2%. That played a role in the Fed's decision to raise the federal funds rate last week. As Bankrate explains, quote, keeping its inflation fighting streak alive, the Federal Reserve has raised interest rates for the 10th time in 10 meetings. All I can say...
Such an idiot. Such an idiot. Such an
That wasn't part of the quote. The hikes aim to cool an economy that was on fire after rebounding from the coronavirus recession of 2020. While the Fed's actions don't directly dictate what happens with mortgage rates, their decisions do have an impact and contributed to the intentional cool down in the housing market last year. How does this affect you? During times of high inflation, your everyday expenses go up. That means you'll likely felt the pinch at the gas pump and in the grocery store. By raising the federal funds rate, the Fed is actively trying to lower inflation. If the Fed is successful, it could also ultimately lead to lower mortgage rates and better home buying affordability for you. That's because when inflation is high, mortgage rates tend to be high. But as inflation cools, the experts say mortgage rates will likely fall. Where experts think mortgage rates and inflation will go from here moving forward, both inflation and mortgage rates will continue to impact the housing market. And Lawrence Yun, chief economist at the National Association of Realtors, says, quote, mortgage rates are likely to descend lower later in the year as the consumer price inflation calms down, unquote. Mike Frattitoni, chief economist of Mortgage Bankers Association, explains, quote, we continue to expect the mortgage rates will drift down over the course of the year as the economy slows, unquote. While there's no way to say with certainty where mortgage rates will go from here, the experts think mortgage rates will trend down this year if inflation comes down too. To stay informed on the latest insights, keep listening to Ron Siegel Radio because we have that information for you. We keep our pulse on what's happening today and help you understand what the experts are projecting and how it will impact your homeownership plans. Bottom line, don't let the headlines about the latest decision from the Fed confuse you. Where mortgage rates go from here depends on what happens with inflation. If inflation cools, mortgage rates should tick down as a result. Keep us in mind. Now, I will tell you that as of this morning, just before I left to come into the studio, the market, the Fed futures, was predicting a 100% chance of a Fed funds cut in September. Cut. Now, Jerome Powell says we're not cutting.
Such an idiot.
Yeah, we know that he doesn't follow that at all. But we also know that, no, don't say that about the Fed chairman. He just follows along. So the market is saying, yeah, they're going to drop in September. So we'll see what happens. You heard it here first. It's going to be somewhere between 5 and 5.5% will be mortgage rates by the end of summer, early fall. Jim Norton's going to write that one down too. He's
going to write that down. All right.
Yeah. Okay, that's the real-time real estate segment brought to you by rsrmoney.com. Continue our conversation.
It would make for a good fall housing market. I mean, you get the mortgage rate down to 5.5 or around the 5.5 area. That's going to bring a lot of people back into the market. But
so let's talk about this.
You still have the problem of inventory, no matter what you do.
No, well, that's a big problem. And we did see a little bit of an increase in inventory this week. But what my question would be, if you have a crystal ball, Jim.
All right.
The individuals don't need that have a sub 4% mortgage. They have no need to sell right now, right? I shouldn't say that. If they have no need, they don't sell right now.
Right.
If they have a need, if they have the diamonds, diapers, divorce,
right,
default or death or whatever, right? They might then those properties may come on the market.
Right.
Right. That's a simple one.
job transfer,
Job
job offer.
So it's
who
something
knows?
that's
Yeah,
forced.
something that right.
There's got to be a catalyst.
The area of the market that is I don't see moving is the young family. They have one child, another one on the way, and they're saying, we're in a townhome or a condo. We need to get a single family and more room. And they want to move up to something, change their lifestyle a little bit. That market is stagnant because they're like, well, if we do it, it's going to be double the interest rate plus the increased money. Maybe now is not the time to do something. So they're hesitant to move.
Okay, I want to come back to that. But what I want to get to here is at 6.5%, 7%, the person that does not have a catalyst doesn't move.
Right.
At 6%, do you think they do? 5.5%, 5%?
If you're, again, catalyst is a big word in this.
Well, we're
formula.
looking at for this a person that doesn't have the catalyst.
Because if you're carrying, let's say you bought 3 years ago, you haven't paid down too far. You've got equity in the home.
You have about 40% equity.
Right.
So.
It's going to be a very difficult thing at 6.5%, but you're going to make that move for a reason. But if you're at a 20-year-old homeowner, you're still back. Now you're dealing with cash. You're doing a 1031 exchange, or you're depends on where you're at. You're dealing all in cash, so you're not paying the 6.5%.
But at what point does that person come back into the market? The want to seller come back. Where do you think? I mean, do you think it's going to be at 5.5 or 5%?
I think at 5.5 we're going to be a lot closer. I mean, remember.
So that's going to bring us more inventory.
I can't remember the numbers exactly, but the majority of loans were in the 4% range.
Below 4.
And then it was a smaller minority that was in the below 3.
Right.
So they have a longer way to stretch. But so let's just assume that everybody's 4. That's 1.5, 1.5 points to get to 5.5. Let's just say that's a lot closer. That's in terms of a payment.
Easier to stomach.
The inflation problem is the same. Is causing the other side of the coin is they're stretched. I mean, what are we at? Let's use eggs. Eggs is the great topic, but eggs were what $5 for the big dozen at Costco, or the big 5 dozen.
Right.
They're now $14 or something like that. They're
really?
coming down a little.
Ooh, I haven't paid that much.
What did you pay?
I think there was.
I saw them at 14, and I can't remember what the last.
You must
time
get the fancy ones. I don't know.
I just get the 5 dozen, big 5 dozen.
Okay. Okay. You're looking at a different one. So I don't know. Yeah. I don't know that answer because I look at
you go in the cold.
I use the 18 pack.
Costco or Sam's, and you get the big 5 dozen.
I get the 18 packs. So
okay, you get the 18 packs. So it makes it look like it's cheaper.
Right.
But even milk is up. So the staples are up. So you're trying to feed your family. Everything is more expensive. It cuts into what you're thinking is going to be on that mortgage payment.
So So I'm going to throw some numbers at you, Jim, because if you've got that $750,000 property,
okay,
or $750,000 loan, and you've paid on it a little bit, maybe that loan is down to $725,000, and you had a 4% rate, and now you go to a 5.5% rate.
Okay, what'd you come up with?
It's about a $535 a month extra.
Yeah, it could be without inflation. It could be. It wouldn't probably be absorbable. But if you're a commuter, or if you've got 2 or 3 kids, the food and the fuel are going to offset that a lot.
So what I'm going to say then is take that $25,000 in equity, and you might be able to buy down the interest rate down into the 4s.
You could,
on that acquisition property.
Or you get some help from the seller. I mean, the sellers are helping. That is the other thing. If you're
you may need to use some of your equity to help if you're going to sell your property.
If you're going to sell your property,
you might need to help the buyer.
You need to be open to a good conversation of how to sell your property today. It isn't just line up 50 people and take 5 offers and stuff like that. It's basically you're participating a lot more. You're either having a little offering assistance in the buy down or some of the in the closing, or you're changing maybe some price structure. But of course, that person is thinking, the more I take a cut, the more I can't afford on the other side.
That's the big issue right there.
So
right?
it's a double-ended sword. No matter how you remember, a seller becomes a buyer, and a buyer becomes a seller. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
I get what you're saying there.
Right.
So let's take a look at some property areas, and I use these all the time. So we're gonna kind of be consistent. So if you're a regular listener of Ron Siegel Radio, you've heard me talk about some of these different locations, some of these different numbers in the past.
What do you got?
And
Hills?
yeah, I use 92807.
Yeah.
Well, for some reason, my computer doesn't want to.
What's good? You know,
the
the beauty of the Anaheim Hills I like is that it's got a good mix of product, so you can get a good snapshot of in a short.
So the inventory is up
area.
this week.
Pardon?
Inventory is up this week.
Okay, what's it at?
23.
23.
It was at 22.
Yeah.
So we got to. So the media is going to say there's 5% more properties available for sale.
5% more properties
Right.
available.
That's it.
I hate percentages really with it. It's better off when you can hear something in a number. It went up by 1.
Yeah, it went up by 1.
And it might have been last month that something that was in escrow fell out.
There you go. Are you seeing that more?
Yes, to a degree. I've surprisingly enough, I have seen some escrows fall out. Now, catch this part. On a bit of a nosy investigation on some of them, and this is, of course, in my neighborhood, so I can ask questions a little bit easier. They were cash buyers. So if the cash buyer fell out, there's nothing wrong with the house. What's it tell you? The cash buyer is looking till he decides he's found exactly what he wants. So he's tying something up. He knows he's got 17 days minimum contingency for dropping it for any reason. And then he's still looking, and it gets something else comes on the market a little better, a little different.
Why 17 days?
In the CAR,
California Association of
Realtors, and in the purchase form, you have a 17-day contingency period.
Oh,
you can negotiate it to be more. You can put a loan contingency, a physical contingency. Let's say you need some more time. You want some advanced studies on the fireplace or something. I'm making it up, but you can renegotiate that.
I want to study my fireplace.
Well, you know what I mean.
I want to turn it on and make sure the smoke goes out, not into the house.
Make sure that because you might have bought one with a wood burning fireplace. That's a rarity today. I think I don't
think we're allowed those anymore. Well, we can't have a wood burn wood. Wait, you can't burn wood and you can't burn gas. So what are we gonna have to get rid of fireplaces?
You're gonna have to get rid of
New York. They have to get rid of stoves.
You get electric fireplace.
Oh, an electric fireplace.
Yeah, you get an electric fireplace with a digital.
Okay.
You've seen them at Costco with a digital, the digital screen.
You're listening to Ron Siegel Radio, discussing your real estate, current events, and the financial markets. When we come back, visit Anaheim on the town. We're going to find out what we're doing this coming weekend. And Jim Norton made the decision. Going to send someone to see Josh. Going to Vegas. Okay, so we've got 4 days, 3 nights in Vegas. We do not pay the gambling debts, and we don't pay the taxes and the fees. 4 days, 3 nights. It's a certificate to Vegas this week. So we're going to do all that and more. Reach me anytime. Off-air number 800-306-1990. 800-306-1990 or RonSiegelRadio.com, Facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio. And if you miss any part of our broadcast, Ron Siegel 1 on YouTube. Ron Siegel, the number 1 on YouTube. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
Ron Siegel Radio. Your home and mortgage connection.
Do you know a homeowner experiencing divorce? Do you know a real estate reference and the divorce decree could cost tens of thousands of dollars? A certified divorce mortgage planning and real estate report could save you thousands of dollars, and it's free from your local certified divorce lending professional. Reach out to Ron today. RonIsMyLender.com. Again, RonIsMyLender.com. Licensed under NMLS 217037, Equal Housing Lender.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio or anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. And every week at this time, visit Anaheim. They bring us the events of the week. I love looking at the events that they send us every week from Visit Anaheim. We get a major event of the week. We get a romantic event of the week, and we get a family event of the week. So let's take a look at it. The major event of the week, MAUM, M-A-U-M, Asian Makers Market. May is Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month, and Anaheim has a way for you to celebrate. The MAUM Asian easy for me to say. The MAUM Asian Makers Market is coming to Anaheim Packing District on Saturday, May 20th from 11 to 3. The MAUM Asian Makers Market highlights locally based Asian-owned small businesses and brands. MAUM means the mind, soul, and spirit in Korean. This is the first ever MAUM market in Orange County, and it's completely free to attend. Go to the AnaheimPackingDistrict.com. I could read that part for more information. MAUM. MAUM?
I don't.
Got me. I think we tried it.
Spanish.
Okay. So, something, having beaten anorexia, I'm going to go to the romantic event of the week because this one looked pretty interesting to me. Charcuterie board making class.
Oh, yeah.
They say the way to someone's heart is through their stomach. On Sunday, May 21st, join Cha-Cha Charcuterie Board and Broken Timbers Brewing Company in Anaheim for a charcuterie class. From 3 to 5 p.m., learn about the origins of charcuterie, where to source ingredients, and how to build a charcuterie board for your next party. You'll receive a gourmet selection of meats and cheeses paired with some of the top beers at Broken Timbers. Here are all the top tips and tricks for building a board made for impressing someone special. This event is $52 per person and open to the public, 21 or over only. Space is limited, so secure your spot today by purchasing tickets on eventbrite.com. And we've got the family event of the week, Stars on Ice. It's coming back to the Honda Center and kicking off their tour in Anaheim on Saturday, May 20th at 7:30 p.m. The 2023 Stars on Ice Tour will boast an international cast of the most impressive Olympic, world, and national champion skaters. The whole family will enjoy watching spectacular and unique figure skating performances from the best of the best. More information and to purchase tickets, go to hondacenter.com. Got a lot of good stuff there for that event of the week. Appreciate our friends over at Visit Anaheim sending that. Hey, if you missed our conversation with them yesterday, we got some great insight from our friends at Visit Anaheim just yesterday. And so that is the On the Town, brought to you by Visit Anaheim. And I like it at this time. We get to go ahead and give away a trip. So here's the way this works. You have until May 19th to claim your trip. Somebody, and I have no idea, every one of the lines that you see, if you're watching us on RonSiegelRadio.tv, any of our socials, or the ABC News and Talk AM 1490 video feed, every line you see on that wheel is a different name. And in just a second, Josh is going to push the button. And when he pushes the button, it's going to spin and randomly pick a winner who's going to get a certificate for 4 days, 3 nights in Las Vegas.
Which line is my name?
I don't know because I can't read that.
Or am I void
And
because I'm a guest?
You're
on
a
the
guest
Ron
on
Siegel?
Ron Siegel Radio.
A big long disclaimer.
And, yeah, you know
I get
something.
it.
And we know exactly where you're coming from.
Are my gambling techniques are questionable?
Well, something they might send you if your gambling techniques are questionable. They'll probably send you a ticket right from the casinos.
Well, yeah.
Okay, 4 days, 3 nights. We're not going to pay for the gambling expenses, taxes, or fees. But go ahead and hit it, Josh. Let's see who our winner is. And I don't know if you can hear the sound on there, but sometimes you'll hear the sound of it circling, and it's going to bring up a name here. Just a second. And the winner is, Adam Reif. Nice. Adam Reif, you've got until the 19th of May to collect your or claim 4 days, 3 nights in Las Vegas. Love it. Now, Adam's name, see the button right there? It says remove. So Josh pushes that when we're done. So Adam won't get another opportunity here. But again, he's got till the 19th to claim the ticket, 4 days, 3 nights in Las Vegas. Love that segment. It's a lot of fun. Continue our conversation. Jim Norton is in the house. We're chatting about real estate. And Jim's been around since the beginning of time, so we like to talk to him about real estate. He might even coach us a little bit.
Yeah, right. You know, you wanted something, Coach? Is I've been looking at the to see how close it's become, or is it a better deal to build your own home?
Wow.
Building your own home. I mean, think about it. Building your own home has it's gone down in terms of people, interested in the idea. Usually, it used to be a pretty stable market in that, but now it's getting to the point where you know what, you could save a couple $100 building your own home.
Really?
Oh yeah, because remember, you're not paying the 20% margin. If a builder's getting 20% on a home, you're not paying that margin. You're keeping.
Yeah, but I don't know how to use a screwdriver. So what am I going to do?
Well, you're not going to build a home yourself. This is not
like that IKEA commercial where the table falls over.
This is not the Abraham Lincoln conversation in the log cabin.
Have you watched that commercial where the table falls over? They've got all. Oh, it's Bounty. It's not a IKEA. It's a Bounty.
Yeah. No,
I could build a table that comes from IKEA, and I could manage to mess it up without a problem.
No, actually, they probably have. I would think you probably have more trouble.
But I thought the fees and the permits and all that is.
You're still paying that on a new home. So if public home builder A goes and builds a home here in Orange County, he's
got to find the property.
He's got to find the property. He's got to hold the property. He's got to get it entitled. He's got to go through all the hoops and jump through all the red tape. And you're gonna do the same thing. It's just that it's going to be for a one, and that usually you're buying a residential lot. You're not having to rezone or anything of that nature. And so it's not a bad idea, depending on what your position is, because you do have to have some place to live. Let's say you decide to tear your home down.
We talk about that. We have two different options that we talk about when we talk about some sort of homes. We got like D.R. Horton or Coleman.
In terms of
getting something over your head.
Yeah.
D.R. Horton's a little bit more sturdy. Coleman, you have a problem in a strong wind. The Coleman kind of blows away.
There is a Coleman home, so watch out.
Oh, is there really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Up north, I don't know. They might not be around, but yes, good.
You see when the light went on for Jim right there.
Yeah, but I mean, they've passed quite a bit of laws. Everybody talks about ADUs and everything, and granny quarters, and everything, but nobody talks about much about building their own house, building, and it's going to take.
I'm not going to cause trouble here, but my granny's at Forest Lawn right now, so I don't want to build a granny quarter.
Well, let's just call it. Let's call it an ADU if you want to get technical.
Additional dwelling unit.
Additional dwelling unit.
Right. So if you got they don't allow ADUs in Irvine. There's not enough property around the house.
Yeah, there's not enough room.
Just throw that out there.
There's not I think SB 9 probably doesn't work in terms of a lot split in Irvine.
Yeah, there's a little challenge right there.
Yeah, but in some of the.
But let's talk about this, Jim, though, because would you still think with mortgage rates coming down, a recession on the horizon, do you think that building is going to be a better solution?
Well, as it's always easier and more convenient, quicker to buy an existing property than it is and do a rehab on it than it is to build from scratch. But at the same time, if you're in some position where you can build, I mean, you got to remember, you have to have a place to live while the house is being built. So if you're going to
so the idea of building, and again, I'm not a builder, you know this better than I do. You have to really have some wherewithal to build your own property, because you have the existing property wherever you're living right now. You're paying something for that.
You're gonna be in a dual situation.
And then you've got the land, which is generally there's not a huge amount of financing available for raw land, and and not a lot of huge financing available for the permits. So you've got to come out of pocket with a decent amount of money to get started. It seems to me.
I think again, like I said, I'm going into this kind of looking at the balance of the overall cost per foot type of situation. But realistically, you should be able to build with if you have the down payment to buy a house, you should be able to have enough money to get your.
So here's the issue with that one. Is
remember your permits, and you have to acquire the land, but your permits and everything won't be due until you have your building permit. Then you pay your permits, and at that point you're building, so you're on your construction loan, and so you can roll your permits into the construction loan.
So think about. Right. I want to hang on one second. I want to throw this out there because it's something that you need to be thinking about. So when you're listening to Ron Siegel Radio, and we bring on somebody like Jim Norton. He's done this building before. And what he's looking at, or what he's sharing, I don't know what he's looking at, but what he's sharing right now is the perspective of what is a builder looking at in light of the current economy, in light of the current mortgage rates, in light of what's going on in the real estate environment right now. So when you hear somebody talking about that, you may want to take heed, because it might be in your best interest to look at the same exact things that Jim Norton's talking about as far as when it comes to the economy and whatnot, because he's got the builder in his background. So just throwing that out there. Now, if you are in distress, if you got a distress situation, we've got solutions for that also. The question is are you going to pick up the phone? Because the economy is going to get tougher. I don't want to be the bearer of bad news. As a whole, the economy will get tougher, but real estate values generally appreciate as mortgage values come down. And what's going to be the catalyst of that is a recession. So think about those things. Don't get caught up in the fact that, the sky is falling. There's nothing I can do. Call us. There are things that you can do in those lights.
There's a lot of things. Again, that's, as we just said, that's just one of them. There is so many different ways. You've got loan participation programs, VA. If you're a VA, anything to do with a veteran, the VA is a classic gold standard loan. And then I think even Geneva has don't they have a first-time home buyer?
Absolutely. Down payment assistance program.
There are so many down payment assistance.
Absolutely.
Now I know some of them have termed out, or they've filled up. You got to get in pretty quick, but there's a lot of ways to get a home today. And
if you want it, and if you pick up the phone.
If you pick up the phone, they're
not coming to you.
No question. No, people sit there and they say, well, I can't afford the down payment. It's like, well, what do you have? I mean, what are you looking for? What do you want? It's a lot better than paying for what? The median rent, $5,000?
$5,250.
I would like to put that into it. I mean, that's obviously skewed because you got some big houses being rent, but I'd like to see what the average single family in a Anaheim as a whole.
I don't have for the whole. I've got Anaheim Hills is $4,350.
It came down a little bit.
Yeah.
Could you do it? You probably do a little bit better in here, but the problem isn't so much the amount of rent; it's the availability of something to rent. You go into the MLS and you look for properties, rental properties.
Look at this, Jim.
It's a very low number.
I just put this in here, and this one surprises me.
Okay.
So I'm looking at Anaheim 92804. That's around the Disneyland area.
Okay.
$3,500 is median rent.
Okay. Yeah.
A lot of money.
Yeah.
You can buy houses for that.
Yeah.
They're even at the interest rates that we're at now.
Does it have a number of available units? Just out of
doesn't show the available units.
When I was glancing at somebody asked me about it. I was looking at they were doing some evaluation on existing rental property, and I looked at what was for rent to see what the comps were, and there was not a lot of product available. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's that's the whole thing right now. There's not a lot available, and if you're thinking about buying, you need to take action. And again, if you've got issues, if you've got some distress, call us. We can try and help and solve that. There's even some creative financing options out there again. So be on the lookout, and just keep us in mind. We don't want to see people that are struggling like we did see in 2009, 10, 11. Banks don't want that either. So we're hearing more and more.
So far, we haven't gotten to that point in the economy.
Right.
I mean, that was a rapid collapse.
Right.
I mean that.
And we are, but there's still 1,000 homes in Orange County and 1,000 in Riverside and 1,000 San Bernardino that have distressed issues.
Yeah.
So I've heard recently, again, the banks are not looking to foreclose; they're looking to solve the problem.
Right.
So make those calls, and again, we're looking at as a recession comes up, there's going to be a lot of opportunity in real estate. There's always a lot of opportunity in real estate.
There's always a lot of opportunity in real estate. It just depends on how you look at it. But the point is, you have to look. You've got to get some conversation going, and you got to figure out what you can do. I mean,
and I'm going to push back on one comment that you made earlier, Jim, is about the idea if you've got a house that's got equity in it, don't sell it. Right? Take your equity out. We were talking earlier about selling to buy the next one. Well, take some equity out and buy the next one.
That is actually the greatest way to build wealth. I mean, that is the RP 100's equity builder program. And the problem is it's very scary. But then when you start talking about something, you find out that it's also very simple.
Right.
It just takes discipline and it takes a little bit of work.
Guidance.
But it's not one of these Instagram where, I work 4 hours a week and I make $100,000 a week.
No,
it's not that kind of scam. It's a wealth builder over time. You're taking advantage. I mean, what other what stock can you buy where you can put 10% down on the stock, maybe 20% down on the stock, and finance the balance and reap all the appreciation
and have a history.
And
right, because we've got a lot of history when we look at real estate. Every county, every city, we've got the data on it.
Right.
What the appreciation's been over the last 40, 50, 60 years.
So it's real hard to find the same way that you can leverage your
100%.
investment. But stock market, you can't leverage anything. You have to pay 100% cash. You got to buy the stock.
For the most part, yeah.
For the most part. And unless you're doing shorts and everything. But now that's that makes real estate look simple.
Right.
The complications.
A lot of work with that.
Of derivatives and everything else.
We don't want to get into that part, but
because that's too far off to the left again.
That's a whole new subject.
But
we certainly appreciate you listening to Ron Siegel Radio. As always, I ask, set that first radio preset button to come back here and join Ron Siegel Radio, where we only speak about items affecting your house and your bank account. Thanks to all of our sponsors. A big thanks to Josh and Sean who are engineering us today. And of course, a special thanks to you for spending a little bit of your day with us. That's all for Ron Siegel Radio. Again, if you have any questions or to meet any of our guests, call me anytime. 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or ronsiegelradio.com. And remember, make a lot of money so you can help a lot of people and have a lot of fun. Have a great day. We'll talk to you next time on Ron Siegel Radio.
Getting paid by the hour and older by the minute.